If you are a nurse or a healthcare professional looking to launch and scale an IV hydration business, you're in the right place. I'm Queen. I am a certified nurse midwife and IV hydration business owner. And today we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about what do I keep in my IV hydration bag when I go drip my clients. If you all follow me on Instagram and TikTok, you know that I am the IV hydration queen and I get so many questions. But a frequently asked question that I commonly get is, what do I take to my IV hydration clients? So today we're gonna get into what do I keep in my bag, IV hydration edition.
I touch that fire for you. I do that 3-4 times a can I testify for you. I told her like you, that bitch, I do it all and I'm around, you scared to do. I'm not, as long as you joking now here for me.
Okay, y'all, so if you are new here, I would love for you all to like, subscribe, and comment. If you have been here, thank you all for holding me down. I know I'll be MIA. I know that I'll be inconsistent, but I want to come back. I want to come back better. If you follow me on my other social media platforms, you know life has been lifing, and I'm finally at the end of my DNP program. So with that being said, I'm going to be showing up a little bit more for my YouTube family, and I want to start with a video that I know is going to be super intentional. Now, the last What's in My Bag video, it went pretty viral on YouTube. So I wanted to give you all a little spin on things because that was about 6 years ago when I was bedside nursing. And now I am a whole IV hydration boss and working as a midwife getting my DNP. So we're going to switch some things up and we're going to talk about what do I keep in my bag? How do I keep my clients? How do I show up to my partnerships? And how you all can do the same. Making sure that you all are showing up prepared, ready to get this bag, okay? So let's get into it. So first and foremost, this kit, y'all, I got from Amazon. It is so cute, it's so compact. But if you're looking for a case to carry your IV hydration supplies, I'm not gonna lie to you, you can use a carry-on suitcase. For me personally, I have had a lot of success with that, but now I kind of want to transition to something a little bit more organized. So this little cute case is from Amazon. Amazon is the go. I will link it down below. Your IV case and your pole. Now, you may be thinking, why am I talking about a pole? Do you know how many times I forgot my IV hydration pole at home? A lot. So don't be like me, be better than me. So this video is gonna go pretty quick because I'm gonna get straight to it. So if you have any questions, make sure you all comment them down below. So let's get into it, okay? So when we open up the case, guys, the first thing that I'm gonna have is my vital sign supplies. So blood pressure cuff. You may be asking, why do I have a blood pressure cuff for my IV hydration clients, babe? You still have to get a blood pressure on your clients because guess what you're doing? You're running a bolus. And if you're a nurse, I'm gonna let y'all answer down in the comments. What happens when you give a bolus? Right. So with that being said, you have to get a baseline blood pressure. So blood pressure cuff, number one, I have my pulse ox. I want to know what my client's heart rate is doing. And if my client is complaining of being sick, I am going to have a tympanic thermometer. So now that we talked about the nursey things, we're going to get into some of the cool things that I actually like to use for my clients. So at the top, it is pretty compact. We have different areas. One area I have my gauze, which is what I'm going to use after I'm done with my IV hydration client. I remove that catheter to put this on and secure it. I also have my Coban. Coban is something that you put on after your client's IV hydration is done. I have my adapter sets. This is going to make a little bit more sense when we get to the vitamins, but these adapters are very important if you are an IV hydration business owner. Why? Because you don't want to keep puncturing your vitamin valve, okay? So adapter sets are something that you need, okay? At the top of the kit, I also keep emergency medication. So in here we have Solumedrol, we have Benadryl, and we also have an EpiPen. Yes, IV hydration is low risk to no risk, but I always want to make sure that I have my emergency medication with me just in case. So next, I have my handy dandy vein finder. So the main question that I normally get is, do you get every single vein? Actually, yeah, most of the time, but I make sure that I have certain things in my kit to ensure that I get every IV that I start. This vein finder is a game changer. I will link it down below. I got it from Amazon. It was like $35. We have some extra alcohol pads, blunt tip needles, because when you're infusing that bag with vitamins, you need a blunt tip to actually infuse. And then this is a needle for IM injection. So on top of doing IV hydration, I also do B12 shots. And this IM needle is going to ensure that my client get their B12 shot exactly where they need it to be. So as you all can see, nothing's really organized in my suitcase. I have things all over the place based on sizing. So that is the first level. Now we're going to move our way down. So moving our way down, we have some other supplies that we're absolutely going to need. So this is something that I keep in my kit as far as extras. So when I go to my clients, I do pack individual IV hydration kits, but in this large case, I have all of the extra things that I may need. So this is my handy dandy IV start kit. Now, this IV start kit, I'm not going to open it. You all will see it later, but it has everything I need from flushes, tourniquet, tape, Tegaderm, alcohol pad, extension sets. This IV start kit is the go, okay? And when we talk about vendors, it's very important that you have a vendor that makes an IV start kit like this. I also have down below some syringes. Remember, you're drawing up vitamins. In order to draw those vitamins up, you do need syringes as well. Pro tip, every vitamin goes into another syringe. So you're gonna have a bunch of syringes. I have a lot, hundreds of them. Of course, we're talking about IV hydration, so this is my vitamin kit. Now, you all can actually see the pharmaceutical company that I use on the kit, but inside of the kit, it has all of the vitamins that I'm going to use. So, we're talking amino blend, we're talking Olympia mineral blend, zinc, vitamin C, B complex, all the things that you're going to need. As you all can see, on the tip of this vitamin valve, I do have the adapter hood that I was talking about. So this is something that you're absolutely going to need to do IV hydration because you cannot puncture a valve multiple times. A little hard to explain, but this adapter hood is going to make sense in the long run. And you can simply get it from your supply company. So these go together real bad. In addition to all the vitamins inside of the kit, there's also an insert to let you know how much you're going to draw up for every single 500 to 1,000 ml bags. So I get a comment question of, how do you know how to draw up vitamins? How do you know how much to draw up for every single bag? Babe, I'm not a pharmacist. I'm not a medical director, but I have a pharmaceutical company that is very thorough and user-friendly. And these little inserts that come inside every kit from my pharmaceutical company are tea. So make sure y'all sign up with them. Again, remember, everything in this case is extra, but in addition to all the other things, I have my extra tubing because, you know, someone else may want an IV hydration drip, and if they do, I want to make sure I have extra fluids and extra tubing. I have a bunch of IV needles. If you know, you know. IVs are a big skill of mine. I absolutely love starting IVs, but you want to always make sure you have extras just in case you have another client or you have to stick your client more than one, which is what I don't recommend. But if you do, you want to have extra supplies just in case. In the hospital, I'm a 20 to 18 gauge type of girly, but for my IV hydration clients, I am a 22 gauge girly. You need to make sure that your client is comfortable and make sure that the needle is wide enough to actually do the IV hydration. So with that being said, the 22 gauge is the perfect range for you to start your IV drips with this type of needle. Now, for IV hydration clients, because they're paying a lot of money for an elective service, you want to make sure you have an IV needle that does not have blood flowing out of it. You want to have one that has actual control. And I'm going to give y'all a quick free gem. The Insight Auto Guard is the IV needle of choice for IV hydration because when you start that IV, no blood actually flows back. So make sure y'all get these IV needles. So gloves. Gloves are essential. If you are dealing with clients, you're touching them, you're starting drips, you're doing blood pressures, you need some gloves to make sure that you are sanitized and you are hygienic and safe in your client's home. So as I said, you know, everything in this case is not in an orderly fashion, so it may seem like it's all over the place. Head over to my Instagram video to actually see the reel that has all of the specific things that I have in specific kits. But in my case that I carry, I make sure that I individually pack for every client. This is a kit that I pack for an individual client. So we're gonna kind of go through this really quick. If you want a quicker glimpse, check out my Instagram, but this is gonna be a thorough explanation of everything that I keep in my individual kits for my clients, in addition to my actual case that I carry with my clients to their homes. So first and foremost, a chuck pad. You always want a chuck pad. Of course, you're using the Insight Auto Guard, but you want to make sure that you get nothing on your client. So a blue chuck pad is something that you're absolutely going to need for your IV hydration clients. Next, fluids. You want to make sure that you have fluids at all times. You're doing IV hydration, so you're going to have normal saline. But a question that I often get is, should you do 500 mLs or 1,000 mLs? I'm a 500 ml girly. Why? Because it's quicker, you can upcharge your client, and it does what it needs to do. It hydrates the client. So 500 mLs for the win. And when we talk about normal saline, if you're a nurse and you work the bedside, you know that there is a significant shortage of IV fluids. I've never had a shortage. My vendor comes through every single time. So next in my individual IV hydration kit, I have my EMS IV Start Kit. Now this Start Kit is not your normal Start Kit, babe. It has everything that you need. So we're talking tape, Tegaderm, extension set, alcohol pad, tourniquet, flush, everything that you're gonna need essentially to start the IV, but it's compact. So I do highly recommend, if you're gonna do an IV Start Kit, get the EMS IV Start Kit, because it's going to ensure that you have everything as a one-stop shop and you don't have to carry extra things. Of course, we're going to have some tubing because you need to make sure that you're running that drip by gravity. So again, in the individual case, we're going to make sure we have our needle, the 22 gauge Insight Auto Guard. This is the GOAT when it comes to IV starts. It is very gentle, it's delicate, but it does the job. You want to make sure you have a tourniquet because you want to make sure that that vein is showing up as big as it can, so you ensure that you get it on the first try. And then Coban and gauze are essential for your IV hydration clients. Now, when you start an IV, even if you started, if the client is more fair skinned, you don't want them to bruise, and having the gauze and having the Coban is going to ensure no bruising and making sure that the client leaves out with the same skin that they came in with, okay? So in addition to the things in my case, I always make sure that I have marketing tools in my form of charting. So I carry an iPad around me because I use a charting system called Jane App, which is my POS, so my point of sales, my booking site, and my charting system. So make sure you have something compact so you can actually check your client out, accept tips, make sure you chart on them, you obtain their consents. Having an iPad inside your case is going to be very essential for your IV hydration business. And of course, this is a service-based business, meaning that you get majority of your clients by word of mouth. So it's very important that your marketing is key, okay? So for me personally, if I'm ever doing an IV hydration client, sometimes I'll ask for content because in order for you to grow your business, you need content. So you want to make sure that it's cute, it's funsy, and also it has your brand attached to it. So something I often do is I'll put IV bag stickers on my actual bags of fluids. So my logo is presented, and I simply get those bag stickers from Sticker Mule. I'll link it down below. But sometimes I would even ask my client for content in exchange for a 5 to 10% discount, because you're gonna need that content to grow your business and also establish trust in your area. So I always carry around a marketing tool that I actually use for an event, but this is something cute that you can have your clients hold. It's kind of like a fan, but also it has my logo on it and it has a QR code on it. So when you leave it behind with your client, they have access to you and they can actually book with you going forward or recommend you to friends. In addition to those, we're going to keep it very old school. Again, this is a service-based business, so you want to make sure that your client is able to speak highly of you. Word of mouth is how I get 90% of my clients. So anytime I'm done with a client, they check out. What I'm going to always give them is simply a business card and a flyer. I'm going to give them these things to keep. That way they can tell their friends, their cousins, their mom, their coworkers about me, and I can get more clientele. The goal in IV hydration or any service-based business is to grow. Not only grow your own, but grow through community and also grow through referrals. So thank you all for coming to my YouTube channel, checking out What's in My Bag IV Hydration Edition. I know the video is kind of all over the place, but nevertheless, I'm hoping that you got some gems from this. You were able to jot down some notes. I'm going to link some of my key items down in the description box. If you have any questions or you need any additional insight, make sure you comment down below. And if you're looking for more IV hydration content, nursing, travel, lifestyle, I'm your girl, it's Nurse Queen. And make sure you all like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you next time. I think I know.
touch that fine for you. I do that 3-4 times again, I testify for you. I told her like you, that bitch, I do it all and I'm around, you scared to do. I'm not, as long as you joking now here for me.